Welcome to day 9 of Daily Theology. This is our second lesson on the doctrine of God, and I'm going to talk about the attributes or the characteristics of God. Historically, they've been divided into two categories, incommunicable and communicable. My focus for today is the incommunicable attributes of God, which means the characteristics that God doesn't communicate or share with us. So what are they? I'll mention 6, beginning with the independence of God, which means that God is not dependent on anyone or anything. And this is in contrast to us because we are dependent on other people and things, but especially because we're dependent on God, completely dependent on Him. We exist because of Him, while He is self-existent. He's also self-sufficient, meaning God has zero needs. The most special name by which He revealed Himself, which we pronounce as Yahweh, speaks to His independence. It means, I am. He is the one who is apart from everyone else. A second incommunicable attribute is the immutability of God, which means that God is unchanging. This too is in contrast to us, as we are constantly changing. Who God is today is who He's always been and who He always will be. He isn't evolving or maturing or growing. The New Testament God isn't an improved version of the God of the Old Testament. God's nature, His character, His mind, His word, His truth, and His plan are changeless. Malachi 3:6 says, I, the Lord, do not change. James 1:17 says, with God there is no variation or shadow due to change. Hebrews 13:8 says that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Psalm 33:11 says, the counsel of the Lord stands forever. Numbers 23:19 says, God is not man that He should change His mind. A third incommunicable attribute is the eternity of God, which means that God isn't bound by time. He created time, and He's over it. He was before time, and He'll be after it. God had no beginning, and He will therefore have no end. We, on the other hand, are not eternal. We're temporal. There was a time when we were not, and there will be a time when we will no longer be as we are. Psalm 102:26 and 27 says, they will perish, but you remain. They will all wear out like a garment. You will change them like a robe, and they will pass away. But you, God, are the same, and your years have no end. Psalm 90 verse 2 says of God, from everlasting to everlasting you are God. Jude 25 says that God was before all time, and now and forevermore. 1 Timothy 6:16 says that He alone is immortal. A fourth incommunicable attribute is the omnipresence of God, which means that all of God is everywhere all the time. He isn't bound by time or space. As for us, we're merely present. We are limited to being in one space or place at one time. Psalm 139 teaches that we can't go anywhere from the Spirit or the presence of God, that He's in the heavens and the earth and the seas, that He is present in life and even in death. In Jeremiah 23:24, God asked, can a man hide himself in secret places so that I cannot see him? Do I not feel heaven and earth? And 1 Kings 8:27 says, the heavens and the earth cannot contain God. A fifth incommunicable attribute is called the simplicity of God, which means that God is His attributes, as opposed to there being different parts of Him. While we can love and do love, God is love, according to 1 John 4:8. While we are to be holy, 1 Peter 1:15 and 16 says God is holy. We might have and do some good things. God is these things. The sixth and final incommunicable attribute I'll mention is the spirituality of God, which means that God is spiritual in nature rather than material. He has no physical aspect or component. But we are both spiritual and physical. And this reminds us that whatever it means to be made in the image of God, it doesn't refer to our bodies. In John 4:24, Jesus said, God is spirit. That's why 1 Timothy 6:16 speaks of him as invisible and says then that no one has seen him or can see him, that is, in his being. The incommunicable attributes of God emphasize his uniqueness, his otherness, his holiness or set apartness, his transcendence. They magnify the fact that there is a great difference between him and us. It should then drive us to worship him. 1 Timothy 1:17 says, to the King of the ages, immortal, invisible, the only God, be honor and glory forever and ever. Amen.